Here we are at another bite-sized edition of the After Dinner Leadership Podcast, reinforcing the point that great leadership conversations can happen around the dinner table, not just around the boardroom table. And today's topic is around the idea of trustworthiness. And how do we establish trust with others? How do we establish trust within the team? So I'm going to share a short clip from one of our previous episodes where we talked about maximizing trust in episode 18 with Lukas Grech, and then share 3 self-coaching questions that could be helpful as you reflect on the relationships of trust and building that trust with others. And then thirdly, just a little technique around this trust equation that's on the board, C plus R plus I over the denominator S. Okay, now just to ride into that, I've recently had a sore shoulder, so needed some massage treatment. I've got a recurring injury that from a skiing accident some years ago, and I decided to go to a different therapist that was more local to me that I'd seen, and really made me think, well, why would I trust somebody to inflict that level of pain on me? It was quite a painful therapeutic massage, but actually has helped loosen me up quite a lot. But why would I trust someone to inflict that amount of pain? And it made me think about this level of trust. What was it about it? And there was something around the experience of booking the treatment, the quality of the website, the testimonials on it. You know, that actually when I met the guy that was doing the massage, the professionalism of the studio and the way that he handled my my case and being able to understand the needs that I had, the level of care and interest that he took in me, were all factors that feed into this trust equation. And as a leader, sometimes whilst we don't go out to inflict pain, we have to make tough decisions. We have to make tough choices, things that people may not fully believe in or engage in the first instance. But this ability to kind of override that because people trust us is a key part of leadership. They realize, okay, I have confidence in this person is going to take us forward. And why would they trust those decisions that maybe feel in the short term a little bit painful, but in the long term are going to have that benefit, just like the massage did with me in terms of loosening up my muscles to be able to function more effectively. So I want to listen into an episode of the podcast, the tail end of episode 18, Lukas Grech, who was working as a general manager at Spirix Sarco, a great leader, great humble leader. And he talks about trust in the whole episode. But we finished up by him talking about he would love to be in a situation where he could work in an office where he wasn't needed. And not fully making himself redundant, of course, but building up levels of empowerment and trust within the team, where people weren't dependent on him entirely. And the episode is called Maximizing Trust. Let's listen to how he explains why he feels that would be quite an important thing for him to have as a legacy as a leader.
We're coming towards the end of our time together. But one other question I have, again, a memory from a conversation that we had. You shared with me in one of our conversations that you wanted to create an office where I'm not needed. And
yes.
So again, it feels like the antithesis of leadership, but it's not. I know it's not. Talk to me about why that would even come into your mind. How could that actually help to be in an office where I'm not needed?
Because fundamentally it means that everyone is operating as independently as they need to be. Everyone has the responsibility that they need to have. I think this is my own view, but it would be crazy to think that me as one person out of 30 in a company, that I'm that important, that if I weren't there, the business would fall apart. That's ridiculous in my mind. So from that basis, that means that there's all these other people that are part of a larger system that need to be operating at a certain level for the business to go on. And my job is to make sure that everyone can get there, and then I can disappear and move on to the next thing.
Fantastic. I know you referenced earlier that you're relatively young in the role that you are in, but every conversation we've had, I think there's huge wisdom in relatively young shoes.
I love Lucas's wisdom about helping people to operate more independently, and I really believe that trust is at the very core of that. Many other things too, but trust is at the core of it, being trustworthy. Okay, let's look at some self-coaching questions. Oh, by the way, episode 18, take a listen and to the whole story, and you'll hear the whole context of why trust is such an important thing from Lucas's perspective. There's some really good lessons to be learned from that episode. All right, 3 self-coaching questions. Take a listen to these, see the reflections where that takes you. Feel free to press pause after each question and just take some time to listen to your thoughts around this. Question 1. How do you feel when someone really depends on you? Question 2. How do you feel when you truly trust someone else? Or a variation on that, how do you feel when you truly depend on someone else? Question 3. What could you let go of so that someone else could rise and thrive? Okay, hopefully those have sparked some really creative thinking in how you could be more trusting of others and what you might do as a leader to demonstrate that trust to others as well. Let's move on to the last part, this trust equation then. C plus R plus I over the denominator S. I think it's the work of Charles Green, is one of the source of this model. So the trust equation. So the C stands for credibility. This is very much around the words that we speak. Are we saying things that sound logical? Are they believable? Are they realistic? Is there an element of visionary, but not to the point of delusion? R is reliability. The actions that you take are ones that people can trust, that you're dependable. They can rely on what you do, not just what you say. And intimacy is that you're creating an environment where there's safety to express alternative views and opinions, that there's enough strength and contact, proximity within the relationship that you can be honest with each other. So that's the C plus R plus I. For this denominator S, the S stands for self-orientation. So if we become very selfish or focused on ourselves and it's all about me, then of course that will start to diminish the power of those other factors that we've just talked about. And the combination of all those 4 things are really important to consider. So one little tip to look to keep that self-orientation in check is to talk less about yourself and to listen more. And one practical guideline around listening more when you're in a dialogue with the team is, if you find yourself you're somebody that talks a lot with the team, is to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth as you're trying to listen. So you might want to say something, but instead of saying something, put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. No one will know that you're doing it. It will just force, it's like a physical prompt to engage your listening rather than to engage your speaking. There's lots of other things you can do to build trust, but why not start with listening more effectively and allowing other people to speak and share their opinion. So I trust that is a useful set of ideas that you can apply in your team. And if you've got any suggestions that you want to add, feel free to send me a note and follow us on LinkedIn or Instagram. What are some of the methods that you use to ensure that you build that trust within your team?